Hey guys, it's Chris at Highline Guitars. You're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, I'll have earned the honor and privilege of your subscription. In today's video, I am going to compare the StewMac Fret Kisser with the Edge Tools Fret Kisser from China. This is a tool that I purchased the StewMac tool probably about a year and a half ago, and I found that it was very useful in my workflow. But then a couple months ago, I saw an ad for this Edge Tools Fret Kisser being sold on AliExpress. Now, the StewMac Fret Kisser, right now it's priced here in February of 2025, it's priced at $99. This Edge tool I purchased off AliExpress for $42. So a little bit less than half the price of the StewMac tool. And obviously the reason I purchased it was because I wanted to make a video comparing the Chinese-made knockoff with the genuine StewMac tool. Now, full disclosure, I don't know where the StewMac tool is made. It could also be made in China, which it likely is, or Indonesia, or some other country outside of the United States, because that's what most companies in the United States are doing, is they're offshoring their manufacturing to countries where labor is much cheaper. So in all likelihood, the StewMac tool is probably made in a foreign country. But this Edge tool is made in China, and Edge Tool is a brand which makes a number of tools that are knockoffs of tools that are either sold by American companies or were in fact actually invented by Americans. Another example that Edge Tool sells, there's actually two of them that I have. One is the J. Edwards Fractal Fret Press, which I've talked about previously. And then the Guitar Nut Scribe, which I just recently did a video where I reviewed that product. Both of those are products which were invented in the United States, and Edge Tool is making their own versions of them. So what I want to do in this video is I want to compare this Chinese-made knockoff with the StewMac tool and see if there are any differences. And if there are they consequential? So I'm going to bring you in a little closer and we'll talk about this tool in more detail. Okay, so let me give you a quick explanation of how the Fret Kisser is designed to work. If you look closely, you'll notice that on each surface there is a flat section, and in the middle there is a section which has diamond abrasive grit that's bonded to the surface. And then on either side of that grit you have these notches, which is designed to clear out the debris as you're using the tool. But the purpose of this tool is to reduce high spots that you may encounter on your frets. And there's basically two ways that you can locate those high spots. One is to use a fret rocker to locate the high spot. The other, and this is the method I use, is I'll play the guitar, I'll play each string up the fretboard at each fret, and I'm listening for string buzz as well as notes that fret out. And since I've been doing this for a long time, I'm able to locate the fret that's causing a problem. And when that happens, I can grab my Fret Kisser and I'll select the edge that corresponds to the width that the frets are apart. So obviously towards the nut, where the frets are further apart, you'd use this longer edge. Then as you move up the fretboard, you would switch to the next size down, and then all the way to the smallest size once you get all the way up to the heel. But what you do is you locate the fret that's causing a problem, and you place the edge of that bottom, this whole edge, onto the frets, straddling 3 frets, with the abrasive portion over the center fret. That's the fret that's causing the problem. And then you just simply move the tool back and forth, and you can hear it grinding off the high spot. And as you move the tool back and forth, you'll hear that grinding, and it will gradually decrease in intensity as you grind off the high spot, so that once you stop hearing that grinding sound, you know that the fret is now level with the two frets on either side of it. And that's how you reduce the high spots. So this is a tool that I have found to be really useful in my workflow, because I typically don't like to do a lot of fret work. I don't like to level frets because these are brand new frets. So I make a concerted effort to avoid that using other techniques that go all the way back to forming the fretboard and installing the frets. But in the end, I'm just looking for those spots where there might be a high spot on the fret, and then I'll use this tool to remove that high spot, and then I'll polish the fret to make it look really nice and pretty. In my left hand I have the StewMac Fret Kisser, and in my right hand I have the Edge Tools Fret Kisser. And they look pretty much the same. In fact, dimensionally they are exactly the same, including the thickness of the tools. But that's really where the similarities end. If you look closely, and hopefully this can be, you can pick this up in the video, there is a difference in the surface quality. The StewMac has a nice smooth finish to it on all of the surfaces, whereas the Edge tool just appears to have been cut out of metal with the hole drilled, and there doesn't appear to be any effort to provide a quality finish on the surface. But here's where the differences really become noticeable. Take a look closely at the grits on these two tools. Both tools are advertised as having 300 grit abrasive. However, I find, and it should be pretty clear in the video, the abrasive grit on the StewMac tool is much finer than the abrasive grit that's used on the Edge tool. Now obviously that might not seem like a big issue for some folks, but I find it is a significant issue, because the coarser the abrasive grit is, the deeper and more pronounced the scratches are going to be when you use this tool to spot level your frets. That means you're going to have to do a lot more work to polish out those scratches later on. In fact, with this aggressive grit on the Edge tool, the scratches are so deep that in order to polish the frets, you have to sand out those scratches, which means you can actually create a low spot on the fret that you were trying to fix, because you're removing more material to get rid of those deeper, more pronounced scratches. In the end, that means that the fret on either side now has a high spot. So not only have you not solved the problem of a high spot, you've actually doubled the severity of the problem that you were having in the first place. So I think that having a much finer grit is much more useful, because you're not going to have those deep scratches. It's going to be much easier to polish out the scratches left by the StewMac tool than it will be to polish out the scratches left by the Edge tool. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video or any of the videos that I produce on my Highline Guitars YouTube channel, I would appreciate it if you might consider helping to support my channel. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can click the subscribe button down below. You can also click the join or the subscribe plus button. And when you do that, you can become a member of the channel. And when you're a member, you're going to have access to my members only videos, which are versions of all the videos that I make that contain a lot more information and detail than what I normally include in the videos that the general public gets to watch. Also, you can visit my eGuitar Plans website or my Highline Guitars merch store, and any purchase you make there is going to help support the channel so I can keep making these videos and sharing my knowledge and experience with you. And then, of course, if you want to keep it simple, you can click the thanks button down below and leave a small tip in the amount that you think is fair. And of course, at the very least, if you'd like to help support this channel and not spend any money at all, please consider clicking that thumbs up button down below. Now let's get back to the video. Now there is another fairly significant difference between these tools. This is the StewMac tool, and when I purchased it about a year and a half ago, my one concern before I even had the tool was that this surface, because it has the abrasive grains bonded to it, would actually be higher or proud of these two surfaces on either side. Meaning that when you're using the tool to grind down a high spot, because this would be taller, this section would be taller, you would actually be grinding a low spot in the fret. That was my initial concern, but as soon as I received the tool, I used my precision straight edge to check and see if those surfaces are flush with one another, all three of them. And as it turns out, on every single surface, they are absolutely flush. The abrasive grain sections are not proud of the two adjacent surfaces. So that I found was a big relief. But when I got the edge tool, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, maybe I'll be able to hear it, but that center section is taller than the two adjacent sections. So you can actually rock the tool. I don't know if you can hear that, or I probably can't see it. It's very subtle, very, very subtle, but it is proud. And it does this on all of the surfaces. So they're sticking up higher than the surfaces on either side. And that means when you use this tool, in combination with that more abrasive grit, you're going to be grinding a low spot in your frets rather than taking a high spot down to be level with the adjacent frets. So in my opinion, just those issues alone, that's enough to render this tool useless. And then there's some other issues that I had with this tool. There's some finish problems. I don't know if you can see the goo on the side here. That's probably whatever they're using to bond the abrasives to the surface. I also notice, and you can't see this in the video, but when I look at this abrasive with a loop, I can see sections on the metal where the abrasive didn't take. So there's some gaps in that abrasive surface, especially along the edges. The other problem I noticed was, and this one I think is fairly significant, hopefully you can see it, but you can see the tool marks from cutting out this shape from probably the blank metal that it was cut from. And you can see the little ridges, and I can feel them with my fingernails. I run it back and forth across that surface. That means when it's sitting on the fret and you're going back and forth, this surface is actually bouncing over the frets. That can't be accurate. So obviously this tool is lacking in finish quality, especially in an area that's critical. So, is that going to be a big issue? Maybe for some of you watching it wouldn't be, but I would think that it's enough of a concern that warrants looking past this tool and going with the StewMac. Now I realize I'm sounding like a commercial for StewMac, but I want to make it clear. StewMac doesn't pay me a dime for these videos that I make. I buy my tools from StewMac just like everybody else does. I go on the website, I find the tool I want, and I purchase it with my own money. I'm not in their affiliate program. I have no connection to the company whatsoever. But as a luthier who builds a lot of guitars, I have found their tools to be indispensable because they simply work, and they work correctly. And it's rare that I've encountered a tool from StewMac that didn't work properly. And when it comes to these knockoff tools from China, it's a hit or miss. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And when they don't, it's a tool that's worthless. It's useless. You might as well toss it in the trash can because it's not going to do anything more than potentially cause you more and worse issues. Now, another obvious factor which bears discussion is the difference in price. As I mentioned, the StewMac price was around $99 for this tool, and the Edge tool is about $42. So clearly there's a temptation to purchase the cheaper tool. But there is something that a lot of folks don't seem to understand when it comes to buying tools from StewMac. It's the warranty. Now, in truth, the warranty, in my opinion, really appeals the most to folks who are in the business of building and repairing guitars. It's the way they make their living. And that warranty is an incredible warranty that nobody else out there offers. And it's really simple. For the life of the tool, if you damage it, if you break it, if it wears out, or if you're not happy with how it works, send it back to them and they'll send you a new one. So if I use this tool for the next 10 years and eventually that grit starts to wear off, I can send it back to StewMac and they'll send me a brand new one. I never have to worry about it wearing out, or, if I drop it on the floor and it gets damaged, I can get it replaced. No questions asked, no problem. With these Chinese tools, you can't get that. In fact, most other retailers don't offer that sort of warranty. So when you damage the tool, you break it, you drop it, it wears out, or it doesn't perform to your satisfaction, you got to buy a new one. They aren't going to replace it for you. So that's the reason why StewMac tools are so expensive. It's because of that incredible lifetime warranty. But that isn't necessarily a value to everybody who's watching this video. Some of you are just doing this as a hobby. Maybe you have 1 or 2 guitars of your own that you're working on, or maybe you're just wanting to build that one dream guitar. To invest in a $100 fret kisser might not be the smartest choice. There are other ways that you can level your frets and get good results without having to spend that kind of money. But if you're in the business of building and repairing guitars, a tool like this from a company that offers a practically unlimited lifetime warranty, I think it warrants considering that higher price rather than trying to cut costs by the cheaper tool that's going to wear out sooner, is maybe not going to perform to your expectation or to a level that is necessary. So those are just things to think about before you pull the trigger on a tool like this. And I'll let you decide for yourself which one of these you would buy. But I hope to have provided enough information to help you make that decision so that when you click that add to cart and pay for it, you'll feel good about your purchase. Okay, well, that's all the time I have for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed this video and got some information out of it. If so, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and then do all those other things that I've mentioned. Click the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Visit eGuitarPlans.com, the Highland Guitars merch store. Click the thanks button, leave a tip. Anything that you spend will help to support this channel so I can keep buying tools, doing reviews, building guitars, and sharing all my knowledge and experience with you. So as always, until the next episode, take care, stay safe, and I hope you'll be back for more guitar building videos.